Hello, welcome to the first ever roundtable conference from K7 International, where we are trying to talk to students who have already studied abroad for some time and have come back to India and trying to get their honest opinion about their experience. And today we have two fine young gentlemen who have both studied in the US and are here for their summer break. And we are hoping to have a very good discussion with them regarding their first year abroad at their respective universities. So without further ado, let me welcome Ayush and Divyansh. Welcome Ayush. Welcome Divyansh. Ayush, which university are you going to?
I'm a third year computer science major and I'm studying at Cal Poly University in San Luis Obispo.
Very good. And what about you, Divyansh?
I'm Divyansh. I'm studying computer science from Arizona State University and this will be my third semester.
Alright, Divyansh, let's start by talking that first of all, what motivated you to go to USA? Like, how did you come to this decision that you want to go to US?
Initially, I analyzed the teaching methods in India and in the United States. While I figured out that the education in the United States is more practical based and they follow a better approach towards education, that inspired me the most to pursue my career from United States.
And what about you, Ayush?
I think it was quite similar from what Divyansh said. I think I realized how practical and application based, project based was the United States education system. And of course, a lot of my family is also there, so I think that's why I was also motivated to go to the United States.
That's great. And when you first landed in the US, was there anything that you were really struck by, positively or negatively, that really felt like a wow moment or like a youch moment, something like that?
I think all the public places were huge, massive, and I saw very few people there. I think that was very surprising because compared to India, where there's such tiny area and there's just so many people packed in that space,
Correct.
I think it was very spacious and everything was just so spacious actually. So.
What about you? When you landed in Arizona, what was the first thing that struck you?
Exactly, it was like night when I landed, so it was so beautiful, the spectacular view of the city. Even when I watched it from the flight, it was quite spectacular. While I landed over there, it was a glamorous view. I really enjoyed it.
And Divyansh, Arizona has a lot of Indian population anyway. Did you see a lot of that when you went on campus? That did you feel like you were already half in India, or what was the feeling about Indian students in?
Definitely, since I've been living in an Indian community over there, and also in my classes, I've found more than 50% of the Indian people.
Wow.
So that was really great for me, knowing that I'm always surrounded by my community at all the times.
Was it very great, or you felt कि भाई यहाँ भी इतने इंडियन हैं, मैं इंडिया छोड़ के यहाँ आया तो भी इतने इंडियन हैं? Did you get ever that feeling, or it's a balance?
No, it's more of a balanced feeling. Like when you're away from your country, you always feel the need to be more connected to your people.
Okay, that's a very good perspective. What about you?
I think my university is mostly white based. I think primarily just white people there, not that many international students.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of brown people, brown students who've grown up in the US, but their parents were immigrants.
Okay.
So that was very interesting to know how they have like adapted and they grew up, but they're still Indians at the end of the day. So I've had those kinds of, a lot of my friends are kind of like that, American Indians.
Okay.
So yeah, I do run into a lot of those Indian people sometimes.
Tell me some of your friends or roommates, and what countries do they come from? Like, what did you ever think that, oh, this is a country where I never imagined I would have a friend from, or I'll meet at the university? So what kind of friends from, other than Indians or Americans, what other country people do you see there?
I think one of my friends in my CS class was from Spain.
Okay.
I did not really expect that. I was a really big fan of football.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, I really my friendship went well with him in the beginning. I've also had two of my roommates in the first year. One of them was from Hawaii and one of them was from Philadelphia, I think. So those are really nice people too. I think it's really amazing to see how people come from so many different places, and they're very interested in knowing why you chose that university.
Correct.
And they're surprised to know that you're coming all the way from India, away from your family to study.
I can relate to that, right? For us, it's a lot of students are going, so it's not a big deal. But for them to leave the family and cross 7 seas, even I remember when I went, people used to ask, "Oh, you came all the way to just study over here?" So
yeah,
that is a sentiment that is prevalent amongst the local people.
yeah, that's
Right. What about you? What country, aside, I know you just mentioned a lot of Indians, but any other citizens of country which surprised you to see in Arizona?
Definitely. ASU is such a vast university. I've got friends from quite a lot of countries from now. One of my friends, he's my very close friend. He's from Myanmar, I guess.
Okay.
So more he's like from Singapore, Myanmar. His parents were from Myanmar.
Nice.
But he's a very nice guy. He always like asks me how did I end up over here, and the differences between the culture from his place, from India, and how it feels to be in the US. So it's always a nice and a lengthy conversation.
Correct.
Might sometimes end up in debates too.
Yes.
That's nice.
I know a lot of mutual cross-country connections, especially in the Southeast Asian region, always happens. But it's all very lovable at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Divyansh, talking something about academics. Both of you are doing computer science, which is one of the most prevalent majors, especially for students coming from the Indian subcontinent.
Yeah.
Tell me how it was from India to there, the level of classes. Did you have any difficulty? What was the best class you had so far?
Since I'm a transfer student, I've already studied a lot in India, and that helped me a lot over there. So I didn't find any major difficulties in going through the classes over there. And one of my favorite classes was the initial computer class. So that taught me about Java programming.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a great class to know about object-oriented programming.
And since you mentioned about this transfer, let me just prod you a little bit more. Did you fundamentally, in the short time that you've been in the US, see any difference in the teaching style of both these countries?
Definitely. As I mentioned earlier, India moreover focuses on the theoretical piece.
Okay.
So like, if you're talking about Java, then how was Java developed? Who developed Java and all? That's a bit theory based. Of course, that's great too. But however, the US education system follows a more practical based approach. So which means we are initially brought to the labs, and the very first day we are started with like you can hands-on start coding on Java. So that was, I found it a bit better when you have a practical approach to the thing that you're learning.
Okay. What about you? What about the best class that you have taken so far?
I think my favorite classes, I will say it's been the computer science class, because that's what I'm primarily interested in. I've taken data structure classes, I've taken design and analysis of algorithms and stuff.
Okay.
And those classes are very, very interesting. But I think apart from that, I really enjoyed the philosophy class that we were supposed to take.
Okay.
At first I was a little skeptical in taking that class, because philosophy is a little, I don't know, maybe not the best class for a 20-year-old. So,
Correct.
but I did take that class and the professor was amazing. And the content was really actually it introduced me to a different sort of perspective of thinking about stuff.
Interesting.
So it's very interesting.
I think you are more when you go for a major like computer science, it's really heavy, right? And you took philosophy, which is also heavy.
Yeah.
But generally, a lot of other general education classes, like sometimes you take Spanish history or Italian history, or you'll take something like a theater arts or an acting class that help you break a shift in the momentum of the one swing pendulum that is always on your mind, which is computer science. What about I want to talk. What about some festivals that you celebrated there, whether it be Indian or any American or any other festivals? What was some of the celebrations that really interested you in the US?
I think I saw, so as I said earlier, right, my university is primarily whites. There's not that many international students.
Correct.
But there are American Indian students, as I said. But I think most of the universities now in the US have an ISA club, which is the Indian Student Association.
Correct.
And a lot of the students over there would chip in a little bit of money and celebrate festivals with Diwali and Holi and stuff, even Navratri this year.
Okay.
So I think it's interesting to see people wearing kurtas once in a year and actually feel like you're home.
Correct.
So that's amazing. And I think the festival over there I've celebrated is the Thanksgiving, which is actually a lot of food. I think Americans, they do eat a lot of food that night. And Christmas is of course very well known. So yeah.
What about you? Any
So, for me, as you mentioned, there are clubs like ISA. Firstly, I would like to say I'm a member of ISA.
Okay, very good.
Since the very first semester. So I'm a volunteer in ISA, that's the Indian Students Association. And the largest event they planned this semester was the Holi event.
Correct.
So that definitely was one of my favorite festivals that we celebrate over there, with over 3,000 students joining across the campus. That was a really spectacular festival.
Most universities in our town don't even have 3,000 students. So for you to gather 3,000. I remember there's a YouTube video where I think it's between quads, there is a big garden where ASU celebrates its traditional Holi, right? From a bridge that crosses down. I'll show you maybe.
Definitely, yeah. That was the ground that we used to celebrate Holi.
Yes, it's very popular. I think since the last 20 years they're celebrating Holi in
also,
that
we
ground.
had like Indian songs over there.
Very good.
Yeah, and samosas and all, Indian food.
Samosa is a classic. I think that's the cheapest thing to get, easy to transport and keep heated and allow students. So what about ASU is a big campus. A big concern that a lot of parents usually have is security and safety, right? So do you have anything to say about how safe you felt or how unsafe you felt during your time at campus?
Sure. So, speaking about my time at the campus, mostly it's very safe as compared to India, where over there you will have some big buttons, like a big blue button every small interval. So whenever you feel unsafe or something like that, the light over there will light up even if you press the button, and it will follow you until you keep on pressing the buttons.
Okay.
So that's basically the emergency light for the police department or the fire department or any emergency that you face. It's mostly for that. So you definitely would never feel unsafe over there.
Perfect.
In spite of having such a huge campus. I remember myself taking a walk at midnight, 1, 2.
Correct. And you don't think about that.
And I don't even know what time is it. So it's more peaceful.
Anything to add on that?
I think mostly you said I would agree on. But definitely does get really dark at night. And I've had a lot of my friends have told me that when they feel a little unsafe, they would just call the police and they would just drop them off wherever they study. And besides that, there's always an on-campus shuttle that goes around.
Correct.
Which starts from 12 a.m. to like 5 a.m. or something, because there are some people who study overnight at the library.
Correct.
And that goes around the library to their dorms. So it's pretty safe. I usually go for walks at night too. It's pretty safe.
I think the police there really genuinely want to help. I think in India we are always scared to ask the police that ulta mujhe daatenge ye log, right? But there, I remember that to drop home a police simple favor, they'll do it asking without any questions. So let's talk about something interesting like food, right? Ayush, what's been except Indian food? What is the food that every week you look forward to? Because I know pizza gets really tired because a lot of free events do pizza. So what is something else that you have really enjoyed because you are in the Californian area? I think that has a lot of Mexican influence, South American influence as well. But any special food that you like over there?
I've tried a lot of different cuisines, but I think mostly what I look forward to is Mexican food, because it's a little closer to Indian spiciness and stuff. So it's definitely what I look forward to. I've tried quesadillas, enchiladas. Those are Mexican dishes.
Yes.
And of course pizzas, and there are different other chains like bagel shops and stuff. So those are really interesting to try also. Those are just sandwiches. So
what options do you have on campus to eat? Like do you know approximately how many places you have to eat on campus and what kind of restaurants there are on campus?
I think on campus, including all the dining halls, we have around 50 to 60 places and different varieties of food to eat. So yeah, it never gets boring. We have every single day we have like different things we can try and different things we can eat.
Correct.
So,
Yet you didn't gain any weight.
Yeah, I'm blessed with that.
What about you?
Yeah, so on campus there are various different places that you can dine in. Apart from that, there's big sandwich shop that I'm a huge fan of, and on the end of the ASU campus. So that's one of the places that I visit a lot. Apart from it, there are Taco Bells. So
Correct.
the tacos, that's
Taco
one of
Bell is
the
really
most
famous.
popular food. Yeah, it's a bit spicy, but it's closer to Mexican taste and all. I really like it.
Yeah, I remember that Taco Bell, people used to steal a lot of their sauces.
Yeah,
Because it has
exactly.
mild, hot, and
Yeah.
then I see sometimes in a car it is stacked.
Yeah.
And then they'll put it on other foods
Other
as well,
foods,
which
definitely.
are not from Taco Bell as well. Any moment in your 1 year which was the most memorable till now? Like it could be anything. Anything that you felt that really defined your experience being in the US.
I think every day is just something new. I think you
Okay.
get to learn something new. Every people are just so nice to you all the time. The professors are so nice to you. But I remember one very funny moment I had
Okay.
in the first year. I will say that. I was walking by, and there are students in the club, part of the club, who were stopping all the students and trying to get their contact info and stuff just to get them in the club and stuff. And they were asking me what county you're from. So that's like little town. What town are you from? And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm from a different country.
Huh.
So I don't think I should sign that. And he was like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm from India. And he asked me two questions. He was like, are you Patel? Because there are a lot of Patels in India. So I think he just assumed that either I'm a Patel or I was like, no, I'm not a Patel. And he was like, okay, you've got to be a computer scientist. I was like, okay, you got me there. I'm a computer scientist.
Correct.
But that was a very, very funny moment how Americans are also just so accepting and they just know it and they just joke about it all the time.
Yeah, they joke and they want to. It's kind of like a welcoming thing. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I also know about your culture. I'll just share that this computer thing. It's kind of like a stereotype also that people from India come for computer science. Me and my friend were going in a cab in Washington DC, and this guy was from Ghana. He was an Uber driver, and he was playing some good music. So we asked him, "Oh, it's nice music, and what is it?" And we just got into a conversation. He said, "Where are you guys from?" We said, "We're from India." So you're from India? So he's like, "I need your help." I said, "What?" He took out an iPad. He's like, "This iPad is not working." You're from India, you should know about computers. Can you help me fix it? And we're like, we both are econ majors, so we don't fit to your stereotypes. So that was a funny moment for me. But yeah, Divyansh, what was a memorable experience for you?
As you mentioned, definitely each day is a new memorable experience every time. But one of the most memorable experiences for me are the events, and mostly the Indian events. Before I came back, there was this one event that I attended, which was the Bollywood Nights event, organized by the Indian Students Association. That was a really, really huge event in which there are snacks, food, dances, DJ, everything. And that was a really nice party sort of thing. It lasted late until nights, and there was some special arrangements for the volunteers too. So that was one of the most memorable times.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing that you'll be starting a job in your coming semester. Can you tell me a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah. So actually, I've already started my job.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more about the ASU's My College's online campus.
Okay.
So where we design the online courses for the students who are not able to attend the college physically.
Very nice.
Yeah. So I'll be helping out with the designing of the courses, making assignments, quizzes and all. And that's a really nice job since it's an online job mostly. So even while being in India, I'm able to work.
Alright, are you currently working?
I'm currently working.
Okay. So that gives you flexibility to work, not. And what about the hours? Are they fixed or it's whenever you find the time you are able to work?
So in a week, you are supposed to work maximum of 20 hours.
Okay.
So I'm getting full 20 hours, but
Very nice.
With flexibility that I can work anytime that I want. So that's really nice.
That's a
Considering the time
dream job that you have landed in your first year. That's not something that in my experience happens till like the third year. When you become a little bit experienced.
Yeah. I
Usually you
understand.
don't get those first job is mostly working in cafeterias or something like that. What about you?
I also got a research assistantship as an astronomy assistant. I got a year-long research.
Wow.
So we'll be just capturing large chunks of sky, and we'll be studying, as interstellar galaxies and how far they are, what's their age, and how much dark matter they contain, and all of that. And it's very flexible. The work hours are very flexible. I think over the summer they let me work from India, and then half of the summer I'll be going there and working 40 hours a week, which is when I don't have any classes.
Okay.
And then over the rest of the year, when I'm taking the class, I'll be working 20 hours a week for the whole year. So,
okay.
Yeah, so they're very flexible with working hours.
Okay. Yeah, I think we covered most of it. Thank you, Divyansh. Thank you, Ayush. What we'll do is we'll play a small quiz to see who knows USA a little better, and let's see how that goes. So, Ayush, a lot of people feel that there's a lot of expenses apart from the fees to live in the US, and with the dollar and rupee always going high, right? When I first went to the US, it was around 53, 54 rupees. By the time I graduated, it was like 62. And right now it's not 672, it's almost 82.
Yeah.
And it's no sign of stopping. So that's something that people always are concerned with. So living, what do you think are some of your major expenses that people have to look forward to?
I think my major expenses is the groceries.
Okay.
I think the day-to-day expense that you have. I think every single time when I go to a grocery store to get like bread, milk, and just like normal stuff.
Okay.
It's almost like $50-$60 right away.
Wow.
So it's very expensive, but I guess it does last you a while,
Uh-huh.
for a week or 10 days at least. So I think as long as you're not making money there, it's going to feel expensive. But once you start working somewhere, like at a dining hall, or get a research assistantship, or get a teaching assistantship, I think we can really support these day-to-day expenses.
Correct.
So it's really nice.
Also, groceries feel expensive because you pay $100 or something at a time, but
Yeah.
actually when you pay meals, it's like $10 every time. So
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
actually calculate that. People
Yeah.
feel this $5 burger patties is expensive, but those are at least 2 to 3 meals, right?
Yeah,
That
exactly.
works out to be closer. But again, you living in California, that's again a higher bit of grocery
That's true. Yeah.
than anything. What about you?
For me, since I'm living off campus, so
No.
I do have to pay my rent, which is of course my biggest
Correct.
expense.
Everywhere.
Definitely. So it's more like $500 a month, and that's definitely one of the highest expenses.
$500 is very good because I know some
Definitely,
students,
it's
people
nice.
pay $800 to $1,000. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, I'm
you
paying 900.
there you go, almost double of what you are paying. But apart from rent, what are some of your expenses?
Apart from rent, the meal plans, since I've enrolled in a meal plan this
Okay.
semester, that's about $2,000 to $3,000 a semester.
Wow, that's pretty
So
expensive.
definitely. So that's the
Now his groceries are looking cheaper.
yeah.
Okay, so you said you're living off campus. So can you tell me about your commute? How long does it take for you to go, reach? What time are your classes?
Sure. I live 1 to 2 miles. That's 1.5 mile from the campus.
Okay.
From my classes. So you have the transit system. So that's the free public transport available in the US.
It's free.
It's free.
Okay.
And for the students, even the paid ones are available at a very convenient rate.
Okay.
It's as cheap as $75 a semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's apparently free, the public transport, and it's very convenient to use since you get the buses and the rails every 15 minutes, once every 15 minutes.
Okay.
So the commute to the university gets really easy, even if one of my classes is in the Scottsdale campus, so which is very far from my place.
Okay.
It's about 10 miles, but still it's very easy since the trains and all are available every 15 minutes.
And how long does it take you from a bus from your house to the normal campus?
The bus usually takes like 5 to 10 minutes at most, and the one class that I mentioned, that's a bit far. That's more like 20 minutes by rail.
Okay, not bad at all.
Definitely, that's really
What about you? You're also living off campus,
Yes.
right? So how far is your commute?
I think I'm still at a walkable distance, so I
Okay.
would just walk to the campus most of the time. But my
Okay.
grocery stores are pretty far away from where I live, so I mostly have to take the bus. And the bus is free for all the students, so we
Okay.
just have to use our campus ID and just scan it, and we can just use all the buses as much as we want.
Hmm.
And I think it starts from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so it's pretty flexible, and we can use that. And besides that, I know some friends who have a car, So they would usually just give me a ride anywhere I want.
Okay.
So yeah, they would just take me to the beach.
Groceries that need a car, because
yeah, everything
in
is
US
pretty far.
everything comes in bulk, so
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
very heavy. Last thing is, one of the last things is, have you seen anything different from the Ayush or the Divyansh that was in India and the Ayush and Divyansh after being in America? Do you feel you have built some qualities that you didn't have when you were in high school over here?
I think definitely I was very reserved, a little introverted when I was in India. I think growing
Correct.
up, it's just how we grew up in India, I guess. But once I went there, I think the first good thing that I did was I took the public speaking class. So that
Okay.
just forced me to just stand in front of 20 people and talk
Wow.
for 5 minutes non-stop. So that was a really good class I took. And I think I realized that how accepting people are over there. So you have to say, you just have to ask for it and you'll mostly get it. And I think that's just how it is everywhere around the world. You just have to ask for it. And I think it definitely made me a little flexible around people and crowd, just talking and just being, around people, I think, in general.
It's really good that they have something so simple and basic yet so effective like public speaking class.
Yeah.
I don't know if my university had it, but that's something that would boost a lot of people's confidence.
Definitely.
Being in a stimulated environment first before doing it in an actual real world. So
Yeah.
really great resource.
One thing that I noticed over there is how self-sustained you have to become. For example, since I already mentioned, I have been living off campus since the very first semester. So that means I'll have to prepare my own food
Correct.
if I don't enroll into a meal plan. So initially I was not aware about a meal plan, so I used to cook my own food. And while in India I did not learn much of the cooking, so that was a big challenge initially. But now I'm fond of cooking. I like cooking, and over there basically you have to do your stuff on your own.
Correct.
It's not like in India where people help you out with stuff. So for example, cooking, cleaning, the basic things that you're supposed to do.
That makes you more independent. I guess.
Definitely.
Correct. One thing I think that makes you more responsible and independent, which I don't know both of you guys, is in US you got to select your own class, you got to select your own professors, you got to make your own timetable, right? Here till 12th standard it's given to us,
Absolutely.
right? Even here, even in colleges it's given to us, right? But there it's something you have to start from the really basic. Know that if you cannot wake up in morning, take a later class, right? Don't be over ambitious by taking more than 15 to 19 credits just to show off. So all these things factor in here, a lot of independence, thought, a lot of intellect as well. Do you think that is helpful, that you can select your own class and your professors, and did you like that flexibility when you were first there, or that made you a little nervous?
No, I think it is definitely very helpful. Although in the beginning, the first year, I was like, why are they making me do this? Because it was just so stressful. Sometimes you just don't get those classes and you have to go and ask them which classes can I take alternatively.
Correct.
But I think after second year, I realized how I can manage my timetable. I can manage the time when I want to go out. I can manage when I can eat and stuff. So I can really space out my classes accordingly. So I think it's very flexible, and I think it improved my decision-making power to actually choose what class I want to take, choose what time I want to wake up. Although I'm really good at waking up early in the morning, so most of the time whites don't take early morning classes, so I easily get those classes.
Correct. I think indecisiveness is very inherent in Indian culture because there are so many options.
Yeah.
So to become that firm decision, not wait for multiple factors, it's a strong quality which even today I'm struggling with. So I try to be more decisive.
Definitely, I'd agree on that point. Well, you get that confidence, that power to choose your own classes, which means you, of course, have to be a bit decisive. While not going into the wrong classes, as you mentioned, I'm not much of an early morning person.
Correct.
So I tend to choose the classes in afternoon, like 12, which are usually full. So you need to be very decisive in taking those classes. One thing that really helped me is there's a website in which you can check if the professors, that's the Rate My Professor website.
Correct.
So you can check the rating, how does the professor teach, his methodologies and all. So that's a really nice decision that you have to make.
Rate My Professor was like a Bible to me, because sometimes in the first year I took a class and I didn't know about this website till then. Then I came and then I went back and checked that these are the classes I struggled with.
Yeah.
And it matched my thoughts pretty clearly. So I was like, I wasn't the only one that happened. Alright, so let's do a little bit of quiz. Let's see first to 5 who gets that. It's a simple quiz, mostly about things related to the US. So some will be easy, some would be a little difficult. Alright, let's begin with an easy one. What should we do to whoever raises hand, right? First. Okay, let's do that. Which is the largest state in the US?
Is that Arizona, I think?
Wrong. You got one chance.
Is it Texas?
No. It's actually Alaska.
Alaska.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Alaska is the biggest state in the US. Alright, let's go with the opposite. Which is the smallest state in the US?
Hawaii.
No.
Is it Alabama?
No. It's actually Rhode Island.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Alright, so you both of you gave the IELTS exam. Can any of you tell me the full form of the IELTS exam full form?
International English Language Testing System.
That's good. 1 point for Ayush. That is whatever exactly you said. What about the SAT exam? Any full form for that?
Oh, Scholastic Aptitude Test.
You want to raise your hand,
Oh.
but I'll give it to you since you said 2 form. Alright. Who was the first president of the US? Any guesses? You guys can take a random guess.
You know, one of the professors were the president, but I don't know the first one.
It's actually George Washington.
Oh.
Right. George Washington is the first president of the United States of America. How many lines are there in the US flag? How many
13.
stripes? 13 is correct.
And
right?
it stands for the 13 British colonies over there.
Yeah, the 13 initial colonies that were established. Very good. I think you must have taken some history classes, right? Yeah. So, okay, 2-1. Okay. Which is the biggest river in the US?
Amazon.
Amazon is in South America.
I don't know.
I'm sure you guys, once I say it, you guys will know it.
Is it the Mississippi River?
Correct. It is the
Yeah.
Mississippi River. Alright, we're even 2-2, right? Let's do next round wins kind of a thing. Whoever gets the next question wins this competition. Washington DC is the current capital of the US. Which was the first initial capital of the US?
I'll just guess New York.
No.
Even wild guess, California.
It was actually Philadelphia, right? It was part of the original 13 colonies that you talked about.
Okay.
And initially it was Philadelphia. Washington DC was built later just as a capital city, right? So initially it was this. Alright, which year did the US gain its independence? India's was 1947. 47. What was?
It's definitely earlier than that.
Let's see, you guys can take a random guess.
Let's say 1800? Random guess?
No.
Something like 1903.
No. It's actually 1773. US is more than 250 years independent, right? So it's been a long time. Okay. Since I have to think of more questions now. Which is the southernmost point of the US mainland? What is that called?
Because you said mainland, now that's confusing.
Yes.
Because I would actually say Hawaii,
Yeah.
but mainland, I think it would be Florida.
Florida is correct, but you need to tell me the name of the place, like Kanyakumari is in Tamil Nadu.
Is it Dallas then?
No, I said Florida is correct. So
Oh, okay.
it has to be Florida then. Very popular in pop culture, but no,
Yeah, I wouldn't know the name.
it's actually called Key West,
Oh.
right? You guys have heard of the Key
I
Islands?
think I've heard of it.
It's at the bottom. Once you drive from Miami, it's 4-hour drive. It's Key West. All right, let's move to some other question and make it a little bit tough. How many time zones are there in the US? Total number of time zones in the US?
Is it 5?
5 is correct. Right, 5 is actually correct. Do you know which ones are those?
Yeah, it's the MST, Mountain Standard Time.
Correct.
Pacific Standard Time,
Correct.
PST.
Are you in Mountain Standard Time?
Yeah, I'm in Mountain Standard Time.
You are in Pacific Standard Time.
PST. I can't name all actually.
It's the Eastern Standard
Eastern,
Time.
yeah, EST.
It's Central CST, Central Standard Time, and then there is one for Alaska and Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it. Congratulations, Divyansh. You won by
Thank you.
3. Thank you for participating. Thank you, guys. I wish you all the best. Hopefully, you guys can keep coming to India, and every year we can add to this experience. Wish you best for your jobs and your classes. And thank you for coming.
Of course, thank you for letting me.
Please, it's our pleasure.